Commissioner Wills, I would ask you to lead us in invocation to thank God for many blessings such as the beautiful weather and Mr. Yorshek's continued health.
Father, I thank you it's time to come together, Lord. I ask you to give us the wisdom we need, Lord, to make the decisions that would best serve your county, Father. I thank you, Father, for constituents, Father God, that put us in the place we're in, Father, to do the job you've been given, Father. I just ask, Lord, everything said and done here tonight would bring you glory, Father. Everything will be done in a positive manner, Father, that you receive the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This regular meeting of the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners being held on Thursday, October 26, 2017 at 5 p.m. in the County Commission Chambers in LaBelle, Florida. In attendance are Chairman Michael Swindle, Vice Chairman Darrell Harris, Commissioner Emma Byrd, Commissioner Mitchell Wills, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Administrator Charles Chapman, County Attorney Mark Lapp, and Clerk Barbara Butler.
Thank you very much. First thing I see, I do not see anything under bids. So we'll move into consent agenda. Does anyone have anything to pull from consent agenda for discussion?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Commissioner Turner to approve, seconded by Commissioner Harris. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. With no one opposed. Next thing, I see nothing in awards and appearances. We're ready to go into public hearings.
They got something here, county attorney.
That's all part of consent. So the first thing is Ms. Embledge. She's going to talk to us about the ordinance banning medical marijuana treatment centers dispensing facilities.
Yes, first of all, Commissioners, you have a strike-through and underline formatted of the staff report. We needed to make sure that you were aware that this was a first reading of an ordinance that would be banning the medical marijuana treatment center dispensing facilities. The board had directed staff to advertise and bring forward this ordinance in order to ban the facilities. We presented it to the LPA on October 19th, and there was some discussion. The recommendation was not necessarily to approve, but to move it forward to the board for their consideration.
What, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, I mean, I don't like seeing the LPA vote 6-1, and I avoided reaching out to them because I didn't, once again, I know ignorance isn't a legal plea in the event something goes wrong. So, Mark, I don't know if it's appropriate for us to talk to LPA board members outside of the sunshine, so I just wanted to stay away from it. But I don't like seeing that, that large of a majority, and I just wanted to kind of fill out if anybody knew what the gist was of their major concerns.
Sure, I'd be happy to answer that. The motion was made by one of the members that said that they wouldn't come out and say that they were against it, but they knew that it was directed by the board to bring this ordinance together. So without saying so, the motion was to send it on to the board for consideration without saying approval. Well, the 5 other members that voted with this member went along with that vote, but I can't really say that they were against it because we did ask them point blank, if you have problems, we can note it on the staff report and, let's talk about it. But we didn't get a response from that, and clearly what I presented in the staff report is the best description I could provide you.
Yeah.
So they didn't say yay or nay.
There were some individual comments and if you want individual comments, it wasn't part of the motion, but I can tell you, like Mr. McCarthy, who made the motion, said something about, well, it's a constitutional amendment that 70% of the populace voted for, so why are we fighting it, or why are you trying to work against it, or something to that effect. And another member made some comment about the tax revenue that these facilities would bring in, and why wouldn't we want that?
That's zero.
Yeah, that's what their comment was, tax revenue, and they made a request that me, Margaret, somebody report back to them on what tax revenue would come in, and it's not something that I had even thought about. And I said, well, I'm not ready to do that right now, and you need to act. And so there were those couple comments were made, but that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
And if I could, I mean, to that point, I don't think any of us are trying to fight it or work against it. We're just trying to protect the overall appearance of Hendry County, if you will, as it relates to this process unfolding in the state, which is highly regulated and also has some giant question marks associated with it right now. And I think in taking the step that we're doing, we're not denying anyone a service. And I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to toe a conservative or a liberal viewpoint on this. I'm trying to say that we're not denying anybody any of the potential treatment that they need currently, and we're waiting to see how it's going to unfold in the state.
Right,
And-
if I may, to that end, you have the right to go back and rescind the ban if there's something that changes in the future that would make you want us to bring it back.
And if we don't, Mr. Lapp, you may want to clarify this, there are legal reasons where if we don't ban the ordinance now, then that preempts us from being able to do some regulations in the future, correct?
yeah, well, you have a moratorium in effect now till the end of November, more or less.
Yes.
And it takes 2 hearings, and so your next one would be November 14th. So if you don't move it forward and the moratorium expires, and thus it's allowed, then you would have potentially one or more come in during the period that they're not banned, and so they'd be allowed to open up. And then as far as whether you'd be able to ban more after the 1 or 2 got in, I don't know. I'd have to research that for you.
And I'd also, Mark, I'd like to add, I mean, I haven't looked at the patient database as of late, but I don't know how many registered Hendry Countyans we have that are even in the database.
Probably none.
And I know that it's expanding every day in the state, but I don't look at this as something that, let's just say it were able to be allowed in Hendry County tomorrow. It's not like any of the certain vendors are going to come and beat the doors down to open up shop in Hendry County. When you look at the low volume of people that are even in the state listed in the service base. So I want to wait. I want to wait until this legislative session is over, see how things shape out, and then from there, take another hard look at it.
Would you like to put that in the form of a motion?
I'd like to make that in the form of a motion and approve option number 1.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Sure,
if-
we'll do the public hearing part.
Option 1 as
Yes.
revised.
Yes,
which
sir.
issued
As read line and read through. Yes, sir.
It would be brought to you for final adoption or for adoption on December 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
November 14th, right?
I thought it was this month and
November
this week and
14th.
next month,
Oh,
next
I
meeting.
forgot where we were.
Yeah. You were a month ahead, Margaret.
And the people that want it, they can either drive to Fort Myers and
Sorry.
get it, or they ship it to them, or deliver it to them.
It comes in through mail now. They're not being prohibited for what they need.
Yeah.
They come in through mail now.
And once they make it legal, people from Hendry County will probably want to try a snort or something. Eventually, they will.
Let's move along. This is going to go downhill quickly.
You're digressing here.
Yeah.
So,
We are in a public hearing. Any further comments, Ms. Simblage?
no, sir.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Is there any members of the public wish to address this issue before we move forward? Seeing none, any further comments from the board?
Mr. Chair, has staff or anyone had any particular constituents reach out to them and say this is something that they feel is desperately needed?
I know I have not. Anyone else on staff?
The only ones I had was one that's abandoned.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Commissioner Harris. Okay, thank you. We'll move forward. All those, any further discussion, board? Thank you. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Simblage. Ms. Simblage, are you staying with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go right ahead.
Yes, Commissioners, this is a rezoning request to a planned development for a approximately
District.
43.79, pardon me, sir?
Asking him whose district this is.
That's mine.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I've read the report and studied it, and I would like to make a motion to proceed with.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Do you have anything else to add?
I do. There is a strike-through and underline revised condition number 24 that's in front of you. The revisions are reflected in the attached ordinance. However, I just wanted to bring this to your attention that there was a change in the last 24 hours that we've all agreed to.
Okay. All right. Any further?
I just, Mr. Chair, I kind of talked with Charles a little bit about this, and I think everybody knows how I feel about our ability to help encourage site-built homes. And this is the type of development that has the ability to change the taxing base of Hendry County and increase values. In a nutshell, this is the type of development that has a whole bunch of positive associated with it and very little negative. And I'd love for anybody to try to correct me on that and educate me to why we don't need to embrace something like this.
I agree.
The location's good, too.
Yes. Awesome. This is a public hearing. Any members of the public wish to address this issue at this time? Mr. Bennett, you, your client, everything to add? Okay. Very good. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Embledge. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Next on our agenda, let me get to my. Next on our agenda is the ordinance revoking the ad valorem tax exemption for a bio-nitrogen plant. Get that in my- Is that you?
Mark
Mr. Attorney Lapp.
Chairman, members of the board, you're familiar with this exemption that was issued a few years ago. You're also familiar with it. The project fell apart. And this is just to clean up the books, basically, to get this exemption removed. Record.
Perfect.
Make a motion for option one.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner.
Yeah.
Correct. Perfect. Is there any discussion from the board? This is also a public hearing. This is a public hearing. Does any members of the community wish to address or ask any questions concerning this issue? Seeing none. Board, any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. And the next thing, I think it's also Attorney Lapp, the ordinance amending tourist development plan and tourist development tax ordinance.
Right. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, this is cleaning up our tourist development plan, which was like 2002. So it's quite outdated. So that's been updated. And then also the ordinance overall, the tax ordinance with various provisions about what you can spend money on and what you can't, has been updated. And so this went to the TDC on August 17th. They endorsed it, and it's presented to you for approval now.
Okay, any direction from the board?
Move to accept.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. This is a public hearing. Does any members of the public wish to address this issue of the tourist development plan? Seeing none, board, any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Next on our agenda is a request for this an action item under correspondence for Boaters Improvement Fund request from City of Clewiston.
I move to fund them $4,499.79 out of the Boaters Fund.
Second.
That wasn't what they were asking for.
Yeah, no, they've already got the other.
The other's done?
got the other.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Because we do have the fund in available.
got it. So they're asking for the additional 49.
We'll have a pretty strong balance in there afterwards.
We're being nice to them this time.
Is that what it was? Was that half? Because we tried to do half every year, right?
Yeah, they got half, this is half plus.
Oh, really?
No, not anywhere close.
Well, it is.
A few years ago, there was around 50, and we split it 24-24. They got the 24. City of LaBelle got 24. This is another 4, almost 5. But then the City of LaBelle, through the West Rec Board, has received about another 9 or 10. So we're trying to keep it, we're keeping track of it, half and half, if you will, but it comes before you every time to get approved.
I appreciate both cities understanding that it doesn't have to be split in half.
Right.
You know, I think if LaBelle wants 20,000 one year and Clewiston wants 4, and that leaves a balance, that's fine. But as long as they come with us with specific plans and logical, reasons of what they're wanting to spend the money on, I'm all for it. But just to give them half and give them half for the sake of giving them half, I think that sets a bad precedent.
You can only spend it on certain things.
Right. Okay. Any further discussion? Anything else to add? Okay. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Any questions of the correspondence? If not, we'll move into the staff reports. Mr. Chapman.
I yield the floor to Janet Papanaugh, Grants Director, to talk about the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant.
Good evening, Ms. Papanaugh.
We're going to get it done, right? You just need a motion to approve?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Any discussion, questions from the board? You need to add anything? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Good job, Ms.
You,
Papanoff.
Ms. Papanoff.
I don't see anything else, Mr. Chapman. Is there anything else you need to add before we move on?
No,
No
sir.
walk-ons, nothing new, no surprises?
No, sir, that concludes the county administrator's portion of the staff reports.
Perfect. Attorney Lapp.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we have the proposed interlocal agreement with the school board to be able to pick up the debris on school board property. It's similar to the others we've done with the other governments.
So moved.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any discussion from the board? Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That motion carries. And the authorization to proceed with the process of exchange of real estate.
Yes, this is regarding an area of Monturo where the county is trying to assemble some lots for a future county facility, and we've got a willing landowner who willing to swap their lot in an area where we like for one of our lots in an area that, we're willing to part with it. The only hitch, other than it, there's no compensation per se, but they have asked us to pay the delinquent taxes on their parcel, and it's, as you can see, it's about $1,700 more or less. I'm suggesting, and staff agree, that it's something we ought to do because when you got a willing, seller, you ought to take the
Better
opportunity.
take it. That's right. That's a specific piece of land. Good job, and I appreciate the staff being proactive in doing that, and continue. If there's other ones that come available, or if y'all can manipulate those around it, continue growing it, because I think we're going to need that as time
So moved.
moves forward. Moved by Commissioner Harris. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Byrd. Any discussion from the board?
Or you're doing option one, and option one is just forwarding it on to November 14th after I advertise, because it requires an advertisement to officially make
That is
this.
correct. Exactly. Okay.
Was that their first offer?
Yeah, yes.
I mean, oh man, everybody's got a little
Beat them up a
movement,
little bit,
don't
beat them
they?
down a little bit. They can take some of them, maybe.
Something.
Pretty good deal.
Buy Mark lunch or something. I mean, it's a good, but they're splitting it 50-50. Everybody wins. I don't know. If y'all are good with it. I just don't like losing. So,
Or paying, apparently.
yeah, I don't like paying anything. I go to a car lot every time. That guy says, man, you really want to give me just that? I say, yeah, I want you to make money on the next guy, not me.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
You got to make money on me. I agree. Do you have have you dealt with them where you think if you offered them half, they would take half?
I can go back to them and present it at
Yeah.
your next meeting.
Can you,
Rescind my motion.
well, you can just add that. Can you add that as a nuance to the motion
let
if
Mark,
you can
let
negotiate
Mark
a price?
negotiate something.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, we add.
Is everyone okay with that?
Mark Lapp,
We'll pay up to
negotiate.
the 1,700. How about that?
I like it.
Nice. Any further discussion?
We'll see how good you are.
Think on the discussion point. So
Just
you
up to the 1,700, so
Yeah.
you can negotiate down.
Okay.
If possible.
Okay.
start at 50 cents on the dollar.
That's right.
$8.50.
Yeah.
Okay.
No
We-
further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
We'll let Mark put 850 back in his budget if he gets it.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Sir,
I do have
you have an add-on, don't you?
two
Mark?
add-ons, one that you know about, one that you don't. But the one you know about is the local state of emergency.
We're going to extend it.
Extend, you wanted to discuss it. You said you wanted to discuss it at this meeting, just as far as the going forward continuation of these, and we have to do them a weekly basis. We can't do them longer term. And so staff is of the view that we're still in the period where it's helpful and necessary. Just this week, we had to do an action, allowing the trailer RVs and the mobile home parks for displaced persons to be able to be there, and FEMA was asking for it, and we could do it because we were in a state of emergency, but we wouldn't have been able to do that without a state of emergency. So we're urging that you allow the chairman to continue to exercise his discretion to, we got to go through this each week with him, and he's, concurring, so.
So moved.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Any questions, discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
And the other one for you to consider here is a request from Tax Collector Langford asking for the tax roll to be extended prior to completion of Value Adjustment Board action so that the tax bills can be issued.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Harris. Is there a second?
How long?
Is there a specified time?
He just wants to send the tax bills out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not extending a time frame. It's extending the tax roll. It's making the tax roll official so that it can be mailed, but then it would be corrected later based upon the VAB's actions.
Got it. Second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any further discussion or questions? Everybody good? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Very good. Anything else, Attorney Lapp?
Just one little briefing item for you.
Okay.
We got the favorable ruling from the appellate court in our primate breeding litigation, and then just while I've been sitting here, I got an email that our other side has asked for that to be reconsidered by the appellate court. So they're still not giving up. They're asking the appellate court to reconsider and
Think about it a little more.
yeah. So we'll see how that goes, but
Okay.
I feel pretty good about our position.
Very good. Thank you for the update. Okay. Hearing of the public, I have a few public comment cards. If there's anyone in the public that would wish to address the board, we have comment cards in the back of the room. If you'll please fill one out and turn it in, and you feel free to address. The first one has, I believe it's Janet Spindle. Is that correct?
Yes, but we're going to let Sherry Walker go first, please.
Sherry Walker is the other speaker card that I have. Ms. Walker? For the record, please, if you will come forward and state your name and address into the record.
Sherry Walker, 750 Evans Road, LaBelle, Florida.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me a couple minutes to talk. I wasn't able to make the last meeting that you had. I was trying to watch it at work, and thank you, Comcast, the live feed died. I even commented I can't hear anything or whatever. Anyway, then I lost. Anyway, I know I only got a short time, so I'm here to request if you guys could please reconsider the change that was voted in at the last meeting to change the whole day at the LaBelle Animal Control from 5 to 3. I think 3 days is not enough time for somebody to recover their dog. I've been through that process myself. Doug and I are very good friends, but we've agreed to respectfully disagree on this matter, and we've talked a lot. We can't seem to come to a resolution, so I feel like 5 days is, I would like it to be 10 if I have my way, but I think 3 days is crazy because sometimes people don't know where to go. I will say that at the city meeting that we went to, I guess they tabled it for a public meeting because you had the county and the city ordinance, and so there's a gray area there. If you, right now with the county, if an animal is picked up, it's a 3-day hold, which means it can be transferred to another shelter, a kill shelter, or it can be adopted out, or it can be euthanized. I think that's too short of a period of a time to decide. Some people, especially in our area, may not know where to go, and by the time they find out, hey, your dog's at LaBelle Animal Control behind the rodeo grounds, it may be too late. Their dog may be euthanized. I would hate to see something like that happen. On a bigger scheme, I would love for Doug and them to have a nicer facility. And I have volunteered, and there's several of us that are here, animal advocates. I'm an animal lover. I don't know about advocate, but we really would like to do whatever we can to possibly have that change back to 5 days, because I can't see any valid benefit for the change from 5 to 3. And I've asked, Doug, give me a valid reason why, and I still am not either understanding or comprehending what his reasoning for it is. I don't know if it's because, and I don't know this for fact, I would like research done, if it's because if a dog is transferred from LaBelle Animal Control after a hold, whether it be 3 or 5 days, if it's transferred to, say, Calouse Humane Society, and if they transfer it, which they do a lot, to Naples, I believe, and I do not know this for a fact, but I'm coming to you guys because you're in charge. There's a financial kickback back from the Naples Animal Control or wherever the dog's transferred to. And again, I don't know that that's a fact, but I would like that question answered. Is this a financial reason? As a taxpayer, I would be willing to pay more in my taxes. I think they should raise the fees for when a dog is impounded. I know Doug has chased down the same animal 100 times. I think $30 first offense is crazy. I think if you need to whack these people with $100, make them responsible, make them accountable. We've talked about a fact about having your animals chipped. Every animal that I have is spayed, neutered, and chipped. However, I had a dog that went missing, he had an electric collar. He dug out of my fence. I have 5 acres. He was missing from September to December. The only reason I recovered my animal was because of Facebook, because I put flyers in mailboxes. Did not know that was illegal until I got reprimanded, because I made thousands of flyers for my little Jack Russell, who went with me everywhere to the rodeos, and he was chipped. The lady who found him in Lehigh took him to have the chip read. The chip was faulty. It did not read the chip. The reason I got my dog back is because of pure luck, a Facebook post. Somebody actually commented, "Did you ever find your dog?" Now, I was reposting because my family and my kids were heartbroken. We had him since he was a baby. He was old. I wanted him back. I got my dog back, but chipping is not a foolproof manner. I do think there needs to be more education for our community. I'll be glad to volunteer to help that. I'll be glad to go down and clean out dog pens. Not afraid to get dirty if that helps. And I've asked Doug, what are our volunteer opportunities? What do we need to fill out to be able to help them? Again, he and Alan do a great job, and I don't know Heather very well, but I think she does a great job from everything I hear in the community. But I would just like for you guys to reconsider, because it would devastate me for my dog to go missing and it be euthanized after 3 days, which I know a lot of times they keep the dogs longer than 3 days. I know, because Doug is an animal lover. They all are. However, what if that dog is scared of strangers, especially a dog like mine that goes everywhere with me, sleeps in the bed with us. After 3 days, how can you make an accurate assessment whether that dog is aggressive or, a food aggressive or whatever? I just think there needs to be more research for this change. And I would have been at the last meeting, but I had to work. I took off work today to get here. But I would just respectfully like for y'all to reconsider and research that. And if it's funding they need, if it's a grant we need to work on to help them out, I want to understand why this change is being made. Is it financial? Is it overworked? What is the problem? I just think a dog should have more than 3 days for somebody to go track them down.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any questions? Do you have any questions for Ms. Walker?
We can hear Doug.
No? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Walker.
Thank you.
Janet Spindle? Ms. Spindle, if you don't mind also just stating your name and address for the record.
I'm Janet Spindle, and I live at 4830 Fort Denode Road in Fort Denode. First of all, I am not a public speaker, so if my knees start knocking, please bear with me. I listened to the tape of the meeting 2 weeks ago, and there was no mention from, Mrs. Embledge, that the euthanizing was going to be the third option that was going to happen to these dogs, could happen to these dogs after a 3-day or a 5-day hold. This is why I do not think that 3 days is long enough. We need to have the 5-day. Also, if I don't know, I'm like Sherry, I'm not sure what is driving this, but if it's money, then sometimes if you bring in someone else to take a look at books, audit the books, maybe they can find a different way to save money rather than trying to get rid of dogs or cats or rabbits or whatever the animal might be. Pets are at our mercy, and we should do right by them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spindle.
Oh, any questions?
Any questions?
I have 5 dogs. I also pay taxes on 3 homes, and thank you.
In Hendry County? All in Hendry?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Any questions, comments from the board?
Is that all? It's public speaking?
That's it. That's all the public comment cards that I had.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. You can bring it up.
and I want to hear from Doug.
I don't know that we want to get into, y'all care to get into that fourth? I
No.
want to look at it on my own. Thank you.
I want Doug.
Is it Mark?
Mark Terrell,
Yes, sir. If you don't mind, go ahead and state your address and name there.
2484 B Branch Lakes Drive.
Thank you, Mark. Go ahead.
I own 20 acres between Howard Road and B Branch. I lease 10 acres, which adjoins 78, adjoins my property. If you've driven by there, it's flooded right now. That water comes from Howard Road and B Branch Lakes Drive. It doesn't come from the property that's there. There's always standing water there in the rainy season, but with the installation of the drain pipe along 78, there's one 2x2 grate which is supposed to drain that entire area. And the type of grate that was installed clogs very easily with grass or leaves. I go by there twice a day since Irma to keep it cleaned off so water will drain into it. The box was also set too high in my opinion. I think it's at least 12 inches too high. What happens when we get heavy rain on top of the water that's there now is it floods the houses south of me. And when we had the sheet flow from Glades County down B Branch that flooded the entire street, none of it went down the ditch along the road. The ditches haven't been cleaned in the 30 years I've lived there, which is fine. It's never had any water there before. But in this case, it just flooded all the houses and goes down there, and there's no place for it to go. The ditch along B Branch, one of the neighbors went down and kind of dug it out a little bit right at County Road 78, just so some of the surface water could get to the drain. But I just think it needs to be looked at. It's area that I can graze cattle on. It's useless. It's killing the trees. I've had several trees that are in the 75 to 100-year-old category that have died as a result. And I've gone to the county engineer. I talked to a young lady over there and gave her my information and what I thought was going on. I didn't hear anything back, but it was all tangled up in water management issues. You know, I understand that's complicated. I'm not criticizing anybody. But I just would like to find a way for somebody to look at it to see if something could be done to mitigate it a little bit.
Okay.
He's,
All right.
he's right. Yeah, are you talking about 78 or Howard Road or both?
78 and B Branch. I was there yesterday.
B Branch.
I actually got a call yesterday. I went personally and looked at it, spoke with actually some members from the engineering department. And we are going to be looking at that. There's some structures that was put in that's actually blocking part of that. The ditches do need to be addressed. I received a call from Ms. Harn yesterday, and I drove to her house, her residence, and I went back down B Branch Road, and we do have some issues in there that need to be addressed, and we are going to be moving on that. I was there yesterday.
There's parts of that you can't see from the road.
Right.
That are important. And Ms. Harn's moving.
Right.
But it floods her property from that pond. I mean, the water's been after Irma, the water was 18 inches above that grate at 78. That's a lot of water.
It was 8,
There's
Mr.
an interior ditch that runs by her property, which is a privately owned ditch is what I was told, which right now is completely full of trees, obviously, from the storm. I did walk part of that. I know I got out and looked. I knew I couldn't drive all of it, so I'm a little stubborn. I get out and just walk around and look because I want to see what's actually going on. And like I said, I did walk that ditch. It's full. It's full of she said that in the past they went through there and some of the residents have removed trees and different stuff. But
that's on the west side of her property?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
That's insignificant to the amount of water that comes through there.
It's gonna help. Every little bit, anything we get to flow water is gonna help.
You
That
need to
pasture's
come
full
look
right
at it
now.
with me, and I'll show you where the water goes.
I'll be glad to.
It's
Tell me when you wanna meet
300
out there.
300-foot wide sheet of water came across there, not that little ditch that's as wide as this podium.
Yes, sir. I understand. Well, the ditches on the side of the road they're full. Most of the
Exactly.
pipes are crushed, and I'll be glad to come out with you. So we do need to get it fixed. I agree.
Thank you for your time.
Wait.
You have a question? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Commissioner Wills, first, Mr. Terrell, you said that there were a number of residences that were flooded. I'm not
Yes.
trying to get into semantics, but were the homes actually flooded or their yards were just
The
underwater?
yards were underwater.
Okay, all right.
You know of any homes?
One home, I think, was slightly flooded, but that was on the other side of the street. I don't know
Okay,
that.
one that we know of. Okay.
All right. Do you think that the ditches that you're talking about, do we have a situation where we have driveway culverts and other culverts that are crushed and we just are not having any flow at all?
In some instances, yes, those ditches are just about even with the road, actually.
Okay. And then you mentioned that the box that's set with the grading that you feel is improper, 12 inches too high, that's a significant number. I'm assuming that this is set somewhere to where when the water hits a certain level, gravity flow starts to occur.
Go weird.
Have
Sort
we,
of weird.
yeah, have we looked at that? Do we feel that it is a box that's set too high, and is it ours or is it the district's? Or is it a 298 or?
Probably a
Y'all
water
look at it.
management
It's out.
issue, but
If
Actually, it was
it's-
engineered, and the ditches that were there, and you're probably being generous with 12 inches with the ditches that was there, because they were quite a bit deeper than they are now. But I did not look at the engineering yet. I was just there yesterday. I spoke with Jerry. He was getting with Steve. Steve was going to get with Shane, so we could actually get a better.
You know,
I saw the same thing. Actually, some of the grates yesterday when I was there were completely covered, so no water could have went in anyhow.
One of my brothers works for APAC Construction in another street. He says that type of drain is to drain pavement. Wherever you have leaves or grass, it'll plug up. There's a different type of drain which looks more like a drain in a curb, which is a round box with a manhole cover in the top, which would be more suited. I don't expect that to be changed. I'm just throwing that out there, that there are other ways to accomplish it.
Well, I just want to add this, Commissioner. Flaghole had a significant draining problem at one time, and the county went in and cleaned 4 laterals and 2 east-west, and it was a number of years trying to get that process done. But I was very excited with the performance of Flaghole and Flaghole Drainage District and them being forward in this. And I think that this storm has allowed us to see some areas that maybe are exposed, that maybe we do have, some smaller easements and stuff that if we can get access to and talk to some owners. I'm not trying to spend tens of thousands of taxpayers' dollars to do some cleaning on stuff that isn't ours. But if we could get control of some things and potentially save a handful of homes and stop those drainage issues, I think that this would be money very well spent to the taxpayers. But I will yield to the will of the entire board, and obviously the gray hairs on the side of Shane's head with him being engineer of the year and all, he's gonna be able to knock that in the head as well. So
working on decades.
yeah.
There is issues there, but like I said earlier, I was just yesterday when I talked with them, so we're
I
moving
did
forward.
send an email in right after the storm. I understand everybody's been busy, but I would like to show you the overall issue. Because Ms. Harn's on one side, there's drainage in from the other side of the property as well that to be
What I'm-
aware of. I know the ditch issue, the box issue, these are not emergencies.
To surmise,
It just
Mr.
needs-
Terrell, there is an issue.
Yes.
We've got staff from top to bottom that's on it, and I appreciate you bringing it up so that, in my opinion is that this storm has exposed a lot of, open nerves like this, but we are addressing. I believe Mr. Parker wants to add to
Is
it.
this,
I would like to, if you have the time, I would like to go out there with you and look at that, so.
I'd be happy to.
is
Yes,
this
sir.
the first time you noticed this? This the first time you noticed it?
No, we had a series of rains 2 years ago. Was the
Wet.
first time.
Was
Yeah,
this
that
the first
summer
time
too
it was
was
as bad as
wet.
it is now?
But
Anyway,
since then, last year was a relatively dry, at least we didn't have any heavy rains.
Yeah.
but anyway, that
Even
problem,
even this storm was not that heavy in that area. We had 10 inches of rain, but we had about a 4-inch deficit. The ponds there were half full. So we absorbed a good portion of it, and it wouldn't have been flooded if it hadn't been for the overflow from Beat Branch.
It could go where it needed to go.
but
Right, sure.
Goes
anyway,
downhill.
Howard Road's right on the Glades County line, and we take all of the Glades County water and where Miss Horn, I guess she still lives there, was always low. And so every time if you get 10 inches of rain, Nobles was worse than that, and a bunch of those areas in there was worse than that because of the rain we got. And but there's always been a problem in there, but it was sort of like a pond out there all the time. Like
Yeah, there's always a pond there in the summer.
Yeah.
That's not a big issue. It's a little hot. And, I don't want to be overcritical. The work that was done along there with the pipes and stuff was wonderful. I mean, it really improved the whole area. And they're putting in sidewalks now that'll be a great benefit to the area. But it's just that one.
But I think it's a big problem back in there, because it's always been that way.
I think Mr. Parker wants to add something.
For the record,
Yes,
for the
sir.
record, Shane Parker, County Engineer. That area, our ditch system is functioning properly. You may not be able to see it, but there's large pipes in that ditch. We basically pipe that whole ditch. We have small depressions where the grates are to hold so much water back for the South Florida Water Management District. The one area across the side, we can't drain it. It's a wetland. It's going to get wet. But what Commissioner Harris alluded to was we got a significant amount of rain, more rain than I've seen in 11 years in that area. The water wants to flow across B Branch, but we don't control any of the borrow pits or anything in that area, those canals, and it was just stacking. We've had one road cut in two in North LaBelle. We had a road undermined, and we had that road flooded over. I mean, we just had a significant amount of rainfall come out of Glades County into North LaBelle.
And the river, in preparations of the storm, they closed off Franklin Logs, so you didn't have anything moving westerly. So
We had
I heard
rain.
it's
We had
bad.
to shut down 78 in the curve, not because of our piping system, because the water actually went into the inside of the ostrich
But
curve.
that's not what I'm talking about. B Branch itself is not working properly. Those ditches are full. A lot of those pipes are crushed. I was there yesterday.
Oh, you're talking about Bree Branch Lakes Drive?
Yes.
Right. His problem is not to do with Bee Branch
No,
Lakes
but it goes
Drive.
further back to where it comes through B Branch.
I
When it comes through
disagree
B
with
Branch,
that.
there's a chicken wire fence there that is caved in now on the pipes.
Thing to do
Yeah,
is to
on
do
down
it.
on that end. Yes, sir.
But there's
Yeah.
issues there we just
Right.
need to address.
Right.
Yep. I
We
think,
have more than that one. That's just one of the areas we need to address in the coming year.
I think that this will be addressed. I feel very
Yeah, it will be.
confident.
We're working on it. I was there
That's it.
yesterday. We're working
the
on
right
it.
people are on it. Thank y'all.
I'd like to hear from Doug. Dog catcher.
You would like to hear from Doug? Doug, you've been summoned to the podium,
Doug the dog catcher.
and Mr. Harris would like some clarification.
Yes, Doug Morgan, City of LaBelle Animal Control. I'm going to try and address all her questions. I started making notes. Sherry might have to throw some of those back at me so I can answer them. I came to the board and asked for, we didn't hide the euthanizing. Everyone knows that is a fact. That's going to happen. It doesn't happen to all of them, and that's my job, and we try not to. But we surely didn't try to hide euthanasia. Nobody likes it. We don't like it, but it does happen. The 5 days was written as 5 days. There was no exception to business days. There was no exception to weekends or holidays. The only thing that it did state was that, which we kept this part, was the first day of impoundment on the animal does not count towards the holding period. So we picked that animal up on Monday. Monday does not count, whether it's at 8 o'clock in the morning, whether it's at 5 o'clock before we close. So that's 1 day. And then, I'm sorry, so then we have the new ordinance that you guys, I'm sure you guys read. It is 3 business days, not including the first day of impoundment. Now, so that says on our 5 days where we could have counted Saturday and Sunday, which we are closed Saturday and Sunday, we can still count those as holding days. But our new ordinance says 3 days. We cannot. It says 3 business days. So let's go back. Let's change that from Monday. Let's say we pick up an animal on Tuesday, or I'm sorry, Wednesday. We pick up that animal on Wednesday. Wednesday does not count. So Thursday, Friday are 2 days, 2 business days. All right, so both those ordinances would have covered those. And then Saturday, Sunday would have been covered by the old 5 days. It is not covered by the new 3 days. Monday would be the third business day, as long as we're open and it's not a holiday. So there's no difference on that right there. The difference is if we did pick it up on a Monday, obviously Monday would not count, but we would have our 3 business days. Now, mind you, these days are merely a minimum. It is not a maximum. You heard Sherry say she knows that we have held animals for a lot longer than what we're, asked to. And we do that because we do love animals. I didn't get into this job 15 years ago because I liked people more than animals. I liked animals more than people, and still do. And so, to address so we have the clarification on 5 days, and we have the clarification on 3 days.
How many animals do you think that affects? How many animals do you think you institute the 3 or now 3, but was 5?
It's not going to affect. There may be those people. I disagree with what they're saying. A responsible pet owner is going to go looking for their dog. If you guys own dogs, think about if your dog is not there, even when you get home from work at 5:30 or 6 that night. You're going to assume something's wrong. You're going to start calling. You're going to start texting. You're going to probably Facebook me. You're going to call my office. We're going to have a message in the morning. And this is a responsible pet owner.
Well, my question is, though, how many animals are affected by the 5-day rule that we changed to 3 days? Is there a lot of them that at 5 days you're like, time's up, he's going to Naples, or how many do you do that on?
It can possibly affect, every one of them.
Okay, so hold on. Look, I want to ask because you're not answering the question, and I don't think you're being evasive on purpose.
No,
I'm not. Clearly.
So this is why I asked a couple questions, and I know I asked too many questions and I dig into too many details, so I just let this one go, and that was a mistake the other day. But I did ask for a report following the vote. I said I would love to know how many, essentially, animals this is affecting. If we go from 3 to 5, or what your volume is on a per year basis. I don't know if you're catching. I honestly, Doug, and I apologize for not knowing this, and I probably should as a commissioner for Hendry County, especially with as many animals that I own. But I don't know if we're catching 20,000 dogs or 1,000.
No.
And
we're around right now. We're around 100 between dogs and cats, 100 to maybe 120 a month.
A month.
Yeah, but we're talking about a kennel that I have that has 19 dog runs, and so to try and answer that question is it could possibly affect all of them. But let me go back because we got into this job. We do this because we do love animals, right? And so when we have our minimum period, it's not going to change for our unadoptable dogs. That was what this was focused towards, was unadoptable, not Sherry's dog that got loose, that, whether it's friendly with us or not. You can pretty much tell when an animal is owned, an animal was thrown out on the road, an animal was neglected in ways, not, physically maybe, but, not fed right, not contained, obviously not contained if we're getting it. The nails are long, it looks dirty. So, it's going to affect our unadoptable animals. It's going to give us a shorter period on those. Now, yeah, we can transfer out after those, and I say 4 days because it's first day of impoundment does not count. We can transfer them out to the Humane Society and put them up for adoption. We can hold them for longer periods of time, which we have.
We do a lot of.
We do a lot of that, and you can look it up and you can see that. And here's a couple. We had 3 dogs come in that were identichipped, but the owner did not register that chip. So when you call the chip company, they say, well, it's not registered. We have no information on it. And we had 3 dogs. Well, you guys did pass this 2 weeks ago. And did I do anything with those 3 dogs? No. They did finally go to Calusa Humane Society this week.
The reason why you didn't is because your logic is they got chips in them.
There's possibly
you
an
looked
owner.
At those dogs. They probably.
I don't want to put it down.
Yeah.
And they were not considered unadoptable. Well, one was a big, black, ugly one, but he was so ugly it's cute. But he was not considered unadoptable. He wasn't trying to attack me or my staff when we're trying to go in there and clean and feed. He wasn't unadoptable in the fact that, he was on his last day of deathbed or something, because in reality, how many people want an older, large, dark-colored dog. I mean, 15 years. I mean, I've been put up with it, trying to, very few, and I'm going to have to get numbers on that. But that's what it was directed towards, was not holding up kennels with dogs that are unadoptable. And, yeah, you're going on what I consider unadoptable. But we've been doing that for 15 years. And I do talk with my staff about these other dogs and the dog, or not these other, but the dogs that are at our facility. And we do talk about whether we need to do something with them, or it's trying to bite my officer because he's trying to feed it, or they're fighting in between the chain link fence, and it's dog aggressive. And
Doug, does this have anything to do with finances?
you know, you guys can give me a lot more budget money, and it's not going to change the dog that I'm talking about.
Okay.
It's not going to make that dog adoptable. You guys can help me get a brand new building, which I would love, but it's not going to change that unadoptable dog. They can volunteer. There's 5 back there that are probably opposed to this. They can volunteer, and I don't think it's going to change. I mean, we may have some that might change with a lot of work, but I'm a staff of 3. I don't have all the time in the world to sit in that kennel and try to work with these dogs, you know.
And to be
but
clear,
we do.
you're getting, there was an issue brought up about monies being paid back from other places. Does that happen?
Now, what she was talking on is when we transfer out an animal, nobody pays us anything, animal control. Now, when we were transferring to Colusa Humane Society, which we'll transfer to Hendry Rescue, that will fill out a transfer agreement and we'll find out whether they're reputable or not. So we don't turn rescues away. We transferred to Colusa Humane Society before. Naples Humane Society has buku of money, right? And so any animal, not just from Colusa, but any animal they'd get from any other rescue that was transferred to them, it was so much per animal that they would get. So basically, they were paying them for doing their intake, you know, their shots, their vaccination, all that. Doing
Naples
that up to
Humane
date.
Society was paying.
Naples Humane Society was
entity
paying any rescue that was transferring animals
to them.
Yes,
But
not
they were essentially covering the cost of that rescue. They weren't
pretty
probably
much.
making
Now,
money.
no rescue makes money off animals.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
care what
Sure
they
they-
charge. You know, if you talk to the Colusa Humane Society, he'll tell you every animal that comes in that door, whether they come from me or Joe Public or whatever, they don't make money off
They're a
of
net
those.
loss, yeah.
Before
Right.
you
They-
send them to Naples, you keep them for the right amount of time before
We
you
we
send
do
them?
well. We don't directly send to Naples. We do have other local ones around that we will transfer to, and we will allow them to hold this stray period of
Same
some
amount
dogs.
of time that you will
Right,
hold them?
like today. Yes, and it will be written on their intake card that they have to hold it until such date. So we do that on some cases. You know, we did one today. Their time. I say their time's up, but it's not. I don't want it to sound that bad, but their stray hold is up tomorrow at 5:00. And so these were 2 dogs that they were going to take anyway, and they were, and we take into consideration where they come from. We take into consideration their disposition, their demeanor, how they act, and so, and what they look like. These dogs have been running loose for a while, and they were out down South 29 over there at the Palmer Ranch, if you guys know where that's at, and over there by Evans and Case. And so, you know, we take that into consideration. Now, if I got a little fluffy white poodle that was trimmed a week or so ago, obviously we have an owner that does take care of this dog. And I'm not going to say that that dog's not going to be claimed. More than likely it will, but we have had it where it hasn't. But we do strive to try to work with owners, but I still think that I demand owner responsibility and accountability. My job does include trying to find owners of animals, but I'm sure you guys don't want me racking up gas and asking for more money because I'm going door to door saying, hey, is this your dog I just picked up? Hey, is this your dog? And meanwhile, my call load is coming in. I want to find the owner, but I believe there's got to be owner responsibility and accountability.
I agree. Did you have another question?
Yeah, so using your numbers and going high at 120, that's $1,440 a year. Is that all countywide or just?
That's city. No, that I do the western half.
Okay, so it's just
yeah.
western
That's
half.
not considering Clewiston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that considered Pioneer?
That considers Pioneer. I do Pioneer. I do Pioneer. this way. Actually, there's a west fire district line,
That's
and
the
that's what
line
we
you want.
cover,
Yes,
you know,
sir. Yep.
we
So-
cover this side.
so
So we go
what-
to the Collier County line, we go to the Glades County line, we go to Lee County line. So we have this whole,
So what would happen to you if you went back to 5 days? I mean, where would it throw you off?
you know, and everyone has asked, is it a capacity issue? Well, if you go look at my kennel today, it's not. You know, I had a German Shepherd rescue pull from me. We had a couple of dogs returned to owner. You know, we had Colusa Humane Society open back up, and they're totally empty from the damages. And they pulled a lot of animals this week. And so I basically have like 2 dogs up there right now. But if you would have asked me how many I had up there on Monday, I was worried about what was going to happen if we had a crazy Monday. I have 4 kennels open. And so that falls on me to decide, well, this unadoptable dog, you know, I'm just throwing situations that had happened. You know, not everyone's time is, again, I say time is up, and I don't want you to take that wrong. Their hold period was not up. And so if we have an unadoptable dog that its time is not up, or their times are not up, and yet I have a couple of adoptable dogs, which I do keep 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. We do that. And so let's say I only have adoptable dogs and I have a full kennel, and I'm worried about putting them together. You know, it's putting them together and leaving for the night is not really a good thing. I don't sleep really well at night because you don't know what can happen. And so these adoptable dogs, their stray hold is up. And so I get 4 or 5 more because I just go over the bridge in North LaBelle. And I got to figure out where they're going because we've got to take them in. We're open admissions. We do our job. We take our calls. I come back with 4 dogs. I got to figure out what to do. Now, only these adoptable dogs' times are up. I call Colusa if they're to capacity. If I call this other rescue, they can't get them today. I got to figure out who's going down because I have to do it, because I have to make room. Again, I'm not saying that
Who's
happens
going down?
every week.
Does that mean who's getting euthanized?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Who is getting euthanized? Because I have to make room. Again, you can give me a large building. You can give me all the money. You can give me all the time. I can get all the volunteers. It isn't going to change every single unadoptable dog.
How many dogs
Now,
did Hendry County euthanize last year? On the west side, on this side?
I'd have to get, I don't know. She has 6 months.
I have the record for 6 months.
But tell her to come up here and get.
A lot. Would you like to see them?
But this
They are
is,
very poor records, I will tell you that. I mean, I think this is rather sad. That this
If you want
is,
to nick that, I don't care.
this is how our records are kept.
Okay.
Turn them over as front and back, intake and euthanize them. You can keep them, pass them around.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I don't know where the board wants to land on this. I still go back to my original comments of I would love to know what the numbers are, what the fiscal impact is. It sounds, Doug, like you're telling me, short of having the ability to handle X number of dogs per month with more kennels and more square footage, that there are times right now that you're at capacity and times where you're not, but you do feel that the tool that you've recommended for us to implement, do you feel comfortable saying right now, do you have the ability to give us a % of dogs that are going to die quicker, or do you think that it's really not affecting anything from a standpoint of the euthanization process, or you do? Yes or no?
well, yes, there will be dogs that would be put down quicker
Okay.
if I needed the space. If we could not handle this dog properly, if this dog was scared, you know, crapless, that we go in here and we try and do everything that we can to get this dog to calm down, to, you know, and again, we're the ones that pick them up. We're the ones that clean and feed them. We're the ones that spend the time with them. So they should know us more than they know someone that just comes in once. So if we make that connection with them, and then you show up for one day, and this dog is at the fence trying to get you, well, are you going to come every day and try and work with him and then still adopt him? No, you're going to want to adopt one that's coming up, wagging its tail, wanting to lick you, wanting to. And so, it's the misconception that that people are thinking that I'm going to euthanize an adoptable dog. Trust me, we love to save every one of them. I would love to present you numbers with no euthanasia, but we are an open, tell me I can turn people away, and I'll make sure we don't do euthanasia. Tell me I don't have to take dogs from people that are biting, that are inbred, that have issues, that you know, and I won't euthanize. But you have those dogs. That's why Humane Society is considered a no-kill. And that's because they pick who comes in the door. And then a lot of times we have a relationship with them to where if that dog cannot be changed by a behavioral specialist, then it comes back. And then we have to kill it because we already tried. And trust me, I have a rescue that we do work with that takes actually I have two that takes problem childs. I call them problem childs. And when they can't work with them and we get them back, do you want me to keep that dog longer? Do you want me to hold that kennel space?
Okay. All right.
See,
Is there any further questions? Has
just
everybody
one-
got all the information they need?
One more. Doug, do you know what other counties do?
Yeah, I did make some phone calls, and Palm Beach County is at 4 days. Collier County, I didn't bring it with me. I left it in my truck. There are others that are at 3. Lee County is one of those. There.
Okay. Thank you. We don't, no.
Don't imply that he's lying.
They're 3 days, and then if it's identichipped, it's 5 days.
Okay.
If we get a dog that's identichipped, even though it's not on paper, if you want to put it in there, we usually hold it 10 days. If
Okay.
it's an identichip.
I think at this point, thank you, Doug. That's great information, great input. Appreciate the service you're doing. I think at this point, what we would like to do is to take the opportunity for the board members to pursue it to their discretion with Doug, individually, with groups, with individuals. And if there are other questions or if it needs to be brought back, then we can do that collectively or board member direction at this point in time. Okay. Raul? You have a speaker's card, sir?
He won't do it.
But the point is brief.
Excuse me?
The point is brief. We're a 4-H county. Calusa Humane Society says we have more animals to people as a ratio than any other county in Florida. People who come here have a kind of impression of the kind of place we are. And PETA has already seen to it, with us not fighting back, that stories about our treatment of animals are all over the United States. I read one in Rhode Island 2 years ago about Hendry County, half a page. We have a reputation, and love for animals is part of it.
Thank you. I don't have any other speaker cards. Any other business?
Just real quick while we're looking at these, I'm looking at the records here as well, and I'm seeing a lot more transfer. When they're, just a quick question, I don't want you guys to have to go all back through it, but when
Not
they're
as yet.
transferred to the rescues, when they are transferred, is there a period that they hold the animals, or they try to do something with the animal, or is that just a transfer and it's done?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I see a lot more transfers than I do euthanizations, the reason I'm asking.
Yeah,
In certain months of the year, I see different, that's the reason I'm asking, so.
Right. The animal is typically, and I say typically because more than not, is transferred after their stray hold is up. So they do not require a hold after that. If the stray hold is up, it belongs to the city, and I say City of LaBelle Animal Control because we're contracted. It belongs to us. Once it belongs to us, there is no required stray period. Now, I'm not going to say that they don't hold them for an extended, I don't know. Calusa does not have a policy, and some of the other ones that we work with, Forever Pets, they don't have a policy of holding them.
Okay, yeah, that was a question there. Part of it, like you said earlier, we get back to the same thing as, space. In certain times of the year, you can see where space would be an issue, and in certain times when it doesn't look like space is an issue. This is one of the things that I really wish we'd have addressed first in LaBelle. I've stated this many times. If it's LaBelle business, I'd love to see it in LaBelle. I don't see this being time sensitive. I've been told before that if it's time sensitive, we put it on the county, other side of the county, but this basically affects the western side of Hendry County, and it just didn't look good to move it to the other side of the county to try to do business on it. So at this point, I'd really, really stress again, if we're going to do business that's going to affect either side of the county, I believe the business needs to be done there. I understand when there's time constraints. This was not one of those times.
Right. It does affect East, I'm sorry.
If I might, actually, it's a county-wide ordinance, and it just so happened that the officer that engaged on the topic more so was the City of LaBelle officer. The City of Clewiston was invited to the table. They were part of the conversations. However, the large lion's share of the engagement did come from the LaBelle side. It wasn't an east-west issue. It was a county-wide ordinance. So we have stayed true to that policy, sir. Just want to make sure I
I get it,
cleared
I
that
get
up.
it, but where's all the complaints coming from, Charles?
I understand, sir.
No.
That's it.
And they do
Commissioner,
agree with it.
I'm getting them over there too.
getting them too?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm getting hammered on it. And so it was actually the first item on my list of business by district tonight was this issue. And, you know, I want to know what y'all want to do. I still go back to my original request, which is, I have never seen a report. I look forward to seeing what,
That's forthcoming, right?
Yeah,
You requested
I
it.
think so.
Who is getting that report?
We are making that request. We are going to be compiling that
Okay.
report for you, yes.
Okay, let's wait.
and I just don't think too, I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's a difficult process for an Excel spreadsheet to be set up so that electronically, and then Doug has the ability to send that out to anybody at any given time. And, Doug, y'all catch multiple species. I mean, you don't catch just dogs, right?
We're a domestic animal control.
But no
So
large
dogs-
animals.
Right, we don't deal with livestock, that's your sheriff's department.
Sheriff's ag.
We do help with exotics when we can, so.
And how many kennels / runs do you have? How many dogs at capacity? How many dogs do you have on site?
19.
19.
How many working
That's
kennels?
and that's the
Yeah,
capacity.
19.
Wait.
No, we're not, no talking
How
from
many
the,
cat kennels do you have, Doug?
See, the cats, you can usually stick cats in multiple.
How
So-
many do you actually have, though?
Like
Roughly.
14.
So 14, the question I'd have there, a good question would be, could we convert some of those? You can put cats together, because some of those would be converted to dog kennels.
But the
Small
question-
dog,
The question with that is
Small
how
dog.
many cat catchers do we have? Because when I called, every time I called, they said it was out. So
Did you
how
say-
many
did
cat,
you-
how many cat catchers?
There's just a lot there we need to probably look at.
The kitty
So I
cat
think
catcher.
that we should table it and look more into it because there's a lot more questions that's coming up than we anticipated. So
Okay, so
Let's just wait and look at it.
Mr. Chair,
and that was the direction we left it, but yes.
Okay.
so
Questions?
the summation is we're tabling it time certain.
Not time certain until everybody has the opportunity to do their ample research, get the reports that we need. I would like to visit that facility myself.
Can I make the request that this is either the first meeting in December or the first meeting in January discussion? Because if we don't, we won't, I don't think we'll put it on there. And then the one thing that I would like to look at as well is, we approved something a while back that was, allowing the Calusa Humane Society, I thought, to relocate a campus to where his facility
yeah,
is near.
they're going to build a new facility over there by us.
Okay,
That could be years off.
that could be years off. They have
Oh,
to
yeah.
do fundraising to help facilitate that. Okay. And so in the short term, we own the land outright, correct?
It's on the county land.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's airport.
And so what does utopia look like? I mean, obviously, you said 120 animals a month is a high month.
Yeah. 120.
What is a high, I mean, what's an
Average.
average? If you average that out,
Well, sure.
you took your high volume months, is it 60 animals you'll have? If you guys just were hitting on all cylinders and it was a full moon and
No, I
everything
mean,
was going wrong.
we're talking
dogs running
maybe
the
80,
streets. 80 animals.
80 to 120, 130.
That's your average, that's your monthly average?
No, you can't have an average of 80 to 130.
No, I'm saying it can go down as low to 80 a month. And
But
as
you'll
high-
physically touch, you feel 120 animals a month on the average.
On the average, no.
No.
This is outside, that's a
I would
high.
say 100 if you want to cut that to
Okay.
an average.
And so, I mean, going back to TDC, we were heads in beds over how many nights, what was the average, and then what did that generate from a revenue standpoint? Now I would ask the question in reverse order, dogs in kennels or cats in kennels or domestic animals being housed at the Hendry County West facility, the LaBelle facility, what does that look at on a per annual basis on an average night stay? And then how do we back into that and say, okay, we need 37 kennels and we're going to meet 90% of the need, or we need 52 kennels and we're going to meet 100% of the need. I don't know what that is, But that's kind of what I was driving at with the desire to have my report. I wish I would have been a little more forthcoming in saying.
Yeah, because I didn't understand that completely on that, and I did not get with Miss English. I mean, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was off last week, so.
All right. Well, I think we're going to.
But if you give me 37 kennels, it's still not going to change the dog being unadoptable. That's what I'm saying.
Doug, I don't argue that point at all.
And so, and
I
then
was
you're going
trying
to
to
give me.
avoid saying this, but I'm a big proponent of killing some animals and killing some people. You cannot
Right.
rehab some people.
You have no idea how hard
you know?
it is to restrain myself.
And so, yeah.
But
we
I'm
try to
just
fix
trying to
everything
make it
sometimes.
understood that, I'm not saying it's 3 days and we're killing everything, and that's what it's being thrown out on.
No, I mean, but it's a fact, though. I mean, I don't understand the whole concept of pleading insane and then you just put them in some place. I can give you an example, but I lived in Springfield, Missouri, and it just drove me nuts. I didn't live in Springfield. I lived in Bolivar. It's 20 minutes north. But there's a facility where the average inmate lives in perpetuity, and their annual cost to house them is more than the average first-year teacher in the poorest of districts in the state. There's something fundamentally wrong with that. And now we've had a 35-minute discussion about dogs, but we still lead the state in infant mortality. How many times have we vetted that issue?
And see, we did.
I'm not minimizing
we
a
did
dog's
talk.
life. I own 11 of them plus 3 new babies that are in a turtle on the back porch right now. But we got to
did
deal
discuss with the city commissioners or a specific city commissioner when we were looking at our boarding and feeding per day. And we came up, it's $5 per day per dog. And so, I don't know how we typically really got that number, but I did talk with Ron Zimmerly, finance director for the city of LaBelle, and we are going to look at figuring out a 24-hour stay. So.
I highly encourage all commissioners to dig in, visit, research, talk to constituents, and at the next regularly, you're going to schedule it for no later than January?
That's the clarification question that I need to ask of the board.
We've got on one meeting.
You can't do it the beginning of the month because you're there in Clewiston. So it would have to be the end of the month because you're in
Do it
LaBelle.
the second week.
The issue is a countywide ordinance. Therefore, I'm asking for direction from the board. Which date would you like to have it? Would you like to have it on the first meeting in January or the second meeting in January? First meeting is always in Clewiston, with some exception. Second meeting is in LaBelle. Depending that most of this dialogue that has happened officially has been in LaBelle, I'll yield to the board for your discretion.
Sure. I would appreciate the report before the first meeting in January, with it being an agenda item in the LaBelle meeting in January.
We should get the report before then.
I would love for it to have it before then.
Both places.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't have to discuss it
At least
on
we
the
have it.
agenda.
No.
We can have
Okay.
it, we can just have it as a placeholder to be discussed, yes, sir.
Information.
But it will be
Fair
an
enough.
official board agenda
do it?
item the last meeting in January.
Schedule it. I hate to be so specific, but I want to make sure that the public
no, I
understands
got
that
you.
it's January 23rd, 2018, LaBelle, 5 p.m. is when the meeting will start. We will have this topic to recap the report and to have just further discussion on this matter, time certain.
We should be able to get that stuff in.
Everyone
there.
okay with that?
In the report, I would love to know average stay, total volume of animals, and then, if we have a cost per head, per stay, that would be wonderful, because obviously you can back out anything you want based from that statistic. And then, volume of animals euthanized, and if we have a rolling average on that, I would love to see what that is.
Years?
Yeah, I think 2 years would be deep enough. And then, but surely we go back 3. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that's too difficult. And then number of animals adopted out.
Accumulate a spreadsheet.
Transfers also be included?
Yep.
Yeah, we
Anything
separate
that
transfers
moves
and
them,
adoption.
y'all nomenclate however you want. But what's the difference in an animal coming in and leaving, and how, versus coming in and never walking the planet again? That's it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
Business by district.
Pretty much cover mine. I got drainage issues
water
going
and the
on.
dogs.
Yeah,
Got it.
just, so we're working on it.
Okay.
Like I said, we have more, Felda has some issues still we're working on in different areas, so it's ongoing.
Okay.
I already
Mr. Burt?
spoke with Shane, so we're working on the rest of the debris for them to come out and do a roundabout, because there's a few more things out there. Some people that separated they debris that have not been picked up, but me and Shane spoke, and it's under control.
Good, awesome.
They're doing real well. Most of the city's picked up, and the county is looking good. And I talked to Shane this evening, and they're getting ready in a few days for the second run.
Yeah, getting close.
We have some huge stumps.
Mhm.
I mean,
Large, you just can't handle them.
large.
Yeah. Contractors bring in big
Special
machines,
equipment to pick those up.
big loaders and stuff.
And I think they've got all the roads that washed out in North LaBelle looking good. That was a job. And they've really been doing good.
Okay, that it? The only thing that I would like to ask is, maybe among my colleagues and as well as staff, have we had a chance to do a post-storm debriefing inter Hendry County?
That's my third item.
Okay, all right. And I don't want details of that. It's really a yes or no.
We haven't, and I talked to Brian today about
Okay.
scheduling it.
Okay.
And it'll probably be, Charles is going to be out, so we were trying to around that. But
Okay, all right. So the answer is no, but we're working on it. We're going to. And then the follow-up question is I'm of the opinion that we should do a interlocal government one where we sit down with both cities and school board at a large square table, and let's talk about, this was great, this was not, what was good, what was bad. Okay, now we're in the next event. What did we learn? What are our takeaways that we need to make sure that we're covering the bases on?
If I may, sir, the tactic that I discussed with staff was to have at least 3 sessions, one being Hendry County specific internal agency discussion as far as what did we see, what did we not see, what did we do well, what did we not do well, handle our internal family business, then have the multiple agency review, and then take that into a discussion amongst the elected officials. And if it's the will of the board to have that done between the 2 cities plus the county commission, I would also even extend an invitation to the school board and absolutely the school board and the Seminole tribe to make sure that they have a representative. I'll be happy to arrange that as well.
I think it's a great idea. Is anyone
Yes.
not?
I just think that instead of going, I think that the last one should be the second one. Yeah, I think that the intergovernmental agencies, and when I say that, I mean everybody, school board, Henry Regional Medical Center, everybody, all need to be in the room to vet out where we need to be moving forward, and then from there, then I think you break off, back to home team again and say, okay, well,
Here's what we learned.
this is how we're going to try to address that.
Okay.
And obviously that'll have to be publicly noticed, I would assume.
Yeah,
I think that, I think you ought to have one in the John Boy and one in the LaBelle Civic Center. And, for one, I'm not saying have it twice. I'm saying, we need to have as big a facility as possible to have the one where, everybody's invited. And then on your second or third meeting, whenever everybody's getting together again. Yes, sir. I think it needs to be, because you're going to have electeds that still want to show up to that and hear and understand.
That's the will of the board. We'll be happy to
Is
make those.
water management going to be in on that?
I will invite every agency that has an ESF
But
function,
they need
sir.
to be there.
Yes, sir.
Not invited.
I don't know if I could employ Chief Deputy
Right.
Nelson to handcuff them and bring them along, but we could
Doug's
try.
good at catching people and bringing them in.
We'll catch them, get them in.
Anything else, Commissioner Turner?
Yeah. Glades County meeting with Hendry County. I'm sure Mr. Carlisle has probably not gotten back to us with solid dates.
We have narrowed down the dates to January 11th. That has been re-proposed back to Glades County to confirm. But as of right now, that's been a date that was good for everybody. In the preliminary discussions, we're just waiting for hard confirmation, January 11th, 2018, in the Glades County Vocational Training Center.
Awesome. I don't like talking to the gallery so much, but Miss Walker, Miss Spindle, and Miss Irie, I want y'all to know that this is something that this board doesn't take lightly. We're not trying to be evasive. Nobody's trying to be political and play, with this or anything. And we want to get to a place where everybody is agreeable on this. And, I don't mean to make light of it. But let me be really direct. I hear what Doug, who is a consummate professional, has been doing this for a long time, says whenever he says there's just some animals that you can't do anything with them. And I think everybody agrees with that, and I'm happy to hear y'all all shaking in agreement with that. And so I welcome the opportunity to vet this issue to the utmost, and I look forward to y'all y'all trying to work diplomatically with us on proposing a solution and bringing something to us that we all can bite off later and feel good about.
I do have one question. So this ordinance that you passed at like 2 weeks ago, will that be in effect until the January meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I believe it will be, correct?
Yes. That is true.
But I also feel in my heart of hearts that what Doug heard today and what staff has heard and what I feel much better with is that Doug is working diligently to make sure that, they're not pushing anybody out the door quickly. So
The thing is history's shown that.
Yeah, we can't engage.
I ain't running it.
Okay.
Yeah, you started it.
Go ahead.
You finished it.
Yes, sir.
I believe we asked Ms. Hoots a question last time. Do you want to speak or not?
Do you have a question for me?
Okay, you do not have a statement to make. Okay, that's fine.
With regards to?
Nothing, she's in the gallery.
Okay.
Very high.
Okay, anything else?
Oh,
Now he's going to behave.
I'm happy about the Second District Court of Appeals decision.
Yes.
Congratulations to all of us and to Hendry County. And it frustrates me that there was so much negative publicity pushed out the door. But I want to remind y'all that these people don't care about the truth. They don't care about doing anything other than increasing their fundraising capabilities and having a target. And we are a very easy target whenever you have one human that is dealing with trying to send out your marketing approach, and even she wears 13 different hats.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm tickled to see the truth prevailing, and
I
I'll
agree.
stop
It would've been
commenting
easy.
on that because I get extremely visceral extremely quickly.
I'm glad as a county we stuck to it and didn't cave.
They don't care,
That would've been easy.
don't care anything about people,
No, they don't. They don't.
put it that way.
Anything else?
It doesn't care.
Gavel? You good? Meeting adjourned.